Let's start with probably the game. I know you're partial to Bama, Georgia, but like this is the game that myself am just looking forward to. I've been looking forward to watching these two teams play ever since you and I saw them last year in the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis. Oregon at Penn State, number 6 versus number 3, 7:30 on NBC. Penn State coming in as 3.5-point favorites currently right now as a Wednesday evening. It's the whiteout game, man. They finally get their primetime game as the whiteout against a really good opponent, not against, no offense, Minnesota or anybody like that. Oregon's coming to town for the whiteout game. It's going, I know Autzon's crazy. I know Oregon's been, up to Seattle. They played, in different environments. They played Ohio State a couple years ago, but that was a noon kickoff. This is going to be, I think, one of the craziest environments that Oregon will see and will have seen. Of course, that Dan Lanning seen, all those players on the current Oregon roster have seen.
I wanted to jump in here on this because this was actually one of my nuggets that I took a deep dive on. You're right, 100%. This is the toughest road game by far, true road game that Dan Lanning has ever coached in. Since Dan Lanning's been at Oregon, the toughest road games that he's coached in the last 3 years, 2022 at Oregon State, 2023 at Texas Tech, 2023 at Washington, the game that you're referencing against Kalen DeBoer in Washington, and then at Utah, who ended up being a 5-loss team that had a pig farmer at quarterback, and last year, 5-loss Michigan. That is their toughest road games. Notice all those road games I just mentioned. The only team that would even be close to what this Penn State team is Washington and like Seattle and Husky Stadium that you mentioned. But let's just be real. Washington at like 12:30 local kick and Seattle at Husky Stadium ain't the Penn State whiteout in Beaver Stadium that they're going to be walking into this week at night. Like, I agree 1,000%, man. This is the toughest true road game by far that Dan Lanning has ever coached in at Oregon.
I don't know, man. Danny Cannell a couple weeks ago said that Northwestern environment that they played on at a lake with 212,000 was probably the toughest environment they would play in this year.
Okay. Did he really say that?
He did.
Oh,
Just a weird environment. He claimed it was a weird environment and,
okay.
Weird to play in front of 12,000 people, I guess.
Yeah, well, we'll ask Oregon what they think is tougher. They're playing in that or playing in Beaver after they play in Beaver Stadium this Saturday night.
Yeah, obviously the game's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, so 4:30 Pacific. Oregon's got to travel all the way to central Pennsylvania. So that right there, crossing 3 time zones, it was well documented last year, kind of the issues that Big Ten teams had. Obviously, Ohio State came to Oregon last year, crossed 3 time zones, had trouble, and 1-point loss there. Keys to the game, I think the first one's got to be, can Oregon protect Dante Moore? Yep. The dude has been, like we talked about Ty Simpson yesterday, dude's been surgical when he's had time, when he's been protected by, those tackles on the front line, that revamped offensive line, 75% passes. He's got his, favorite guy, clearly and true freshman Decory Moore. So that's a big thing right there. And then on the other side too, man, like for me, like this is where it all comes down to. It's a Drew Aller game. It's a Drew Aller game. The game we saw them play last year, they ran for nearly 300 yards between Nick Singleton and Katron Allen.
Over 8 yards per carry in that game.
And they still lost the game, 45-37. And so it's Drew Aller's got to make the plays. He's got to keep, the ball safe. You got to think, though, that they're going to keep, leaning on that run game as they've done. He's been real wishy-washy, but, the Penn State fans are out in full force, talking about how we haven't played anybody, we're holding stuff back. So I got to see, can Drew Aller step up, and is this the game that he really takes the leap?
So I think it is likely that Penn State has held some stuff back so far this year. But I mean, are they just going to come out and be just a completely different style of offense? Like, no, I don't think that's going to be the case. But I mean, I do think that there are some things in the passing game that they have held back on. For Penn State on the offensive side, I mean, man, I don't disagree that, this is a game that Drew Aller needs to step up in. We talked about it. The bigger games that they play, he has to be better. And he has to play like one of the better quarterbacks in college football for them to win games like this. In all seriousness, I still think that, for me, it starts we can talk about Drew Aller in this game all we want. Dude, Penn State needs to stick with their bread and butter, in my opinion. Hand the rock off to Nick Singleton and Katron Allen and make Oregon stop it. Don't get caught up in what everybody else is saying, including us, that Drew Aller needs to be better in these big games. They need to throw for more yards and to have more completions to a wide receiver. Bro, if they line up and run for 350 yards plus in this game and run for 8 yards a carry, I don't think that this Oregon offense is as good as last year's Oregon offense. And then playing this Penn State defense in Happy Valley is a lot different, in my opinion, than playing in the Big 12 championship, Big 10 championship game on turf there in Indy. But dude, yeah, if for me, I'm lining up and seeing if that Oregon defensive front can hold up against one of the best offensive lines in college football and could stop one of the best running back duos in college football. And then I'm throwing off of that with Drew Aller.
Yeah, I don't think he needs to throw for a ton of yards. He's just when he does throw, because they're obviously going to throw the
Like,
ball,
be
he's
efficient.
gotta be effective.
Yeah. Be efficient. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. He needs to be
And
efficient.
he has I mean, he hasn't been efficient so far this year,
No,
to be honest.
again, agreed. And Dante Moore has.
Mhm.
Dante Moore's been fantastic. On the flip side of that, like, well, hang on, one more thing on the Penn State offense. Hey man, you went to the transfer portal and brought in 3 like dudes. And so
Yeah.
far, that's been their 3 leading receivers, Trevor Pena, Devontae Ross, uh, and Kyron Hudson. That's been their best receivers so far. So again, these are bigger games. We talked about this with a couple of the other bigger matchups. In these games, your best players need to step up and be big in games like this. So I can't wait to see what Penn State's wide receivers look like, because I do think Oregon's got some solid DBs and is really good as far as defending the pass. Uh, on the other side, like, dude, Dante Moore has been lights out so far. You gave the stats a minute ago, the 5% completion percentage, the touchdown to interception ratio. He's been super efficient. He's literally doing exactly what every other quarterback has done in this Will Stein offense, dating back to his days at UTSA, and now every year he's been at Oregon. Like, literally, we saw Bo Nix do it, we saw Dylan Gabriel do it, and Dante Moore's just, next man up to run that offense, and is super efficient. But, dude, like, do you think that like a young DeCorian Moore and the Gary Bryant Jr. and this wide receiver core, like, dude, Penn State's got some dudes, man, in the secondary. Like, do you think that they can just line up on the road and just sling it all over the place against Penn State?
Absolutely not.
I don't think so either, man. I don't think so either. And the other part of this, Oregon did a really good job spending in the offseason with Isaiah World, transfer offensive tackle, who everybody's talking about being a high NFL draft pick. Emmanuel Pregnon, who they brought in a guard from USC, and Alex Harkey, who they brought in from Texas State. So, man, again, man, I will eat these words, and Oregon fans, give it to me if I do. Isaiah World at left tackle and Alex Harkey at right tackle. Played at Texas State and Nevada. They're going into Happy Valley at night in that atmosphere and trying to communicate when you can't even hear yourself think in a Penn State whiteout.
Second to Tiger Stadium and maybe even Beaver Stadium during the whiteout might be the most crazy atmosphere in college football.
Yeah, I get it. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. And dude, doing my homework on this game, you know what's strange? We all talked about, like, dude, us and everybody else. We just glazed over Mekhi Hughes, glazed on him all off season. But he's like their 6th leading rusher.
I know. I don't know.
He's hardly carrying the football.
He's like Jaden Ott.
Yeah, dude, for real. Yeah, him. It's a good point. Jay Nott at Oklahoma and Mekhi Hughes at Oregon. Like, both dudes just like are nowhere to be found, buried on the depth chart, it seems like.
Yeah.
Maybe they break him out in this game. I don't know. Because, again, Oregon hasn't, again, they've played better competition than what Penn State's played. But so they haven't played great competition either. But Jaden Lamar and De'Aaron Hill Jr. and Noah Whittington, that's their 3.
De'Aaron Hill Jr. is fast.
He's a stud. He looks like an Oregon tailback and an Oregon athlete with the ball in his hands. No doubt about it. But, it really comes down to, in the Oregon offense, like, they're going to want to run the football. But, again, Penn State's strength of their team is their line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Like, especially on the defensive side with Denai Dennis Sutton and Zariah Fisher and Zane Durant. And, we make jokes, man, talking about the Purdue transfers and stuff. How about some of these North Carolina transfers?
Yeah.
Penn State's leading tackler so far, and their green dot linebacker is Amari Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got two other studs in Tony Rojas and Dom DeLuca, but Amari Campbell's been their better linebacker. So for Oregon, they need to be able, in my opinion, to be able to run the football, to be able to take the pressure off of Dante Moore in that pass game. Because I think when you get in a road game like this, in an environment like this, then all of a sudden you're just in shotgun every play, trying to throw the ball all over the yard, and you can't hear yourself think and stuff. That's when you see it, dude. It's an epidemic across college football. The amount of procedure penalties, like the false starts and the 5-man in the backfields and different things going on that happen pre-snap
Mhm.
because of just all the chaos that's going on in these environments. Like, what silences that is lining up and running the football. My problem with that is dude, I just don't know that Penn State's defense is going to allow them just to line up and run the football.
Yeah.
I think Penn State can have success running the football with their two backs against this Oregon defense. And yeah, I mean, that's just kind of where it all
Yeah.
starts and ends for me. I just think Penn State's got the advantage along the line of scrimmage. You got anything else you want to add on this one?
Oh, we got to talk coaching. I mean,
That's a good
it's a
point.
big matchup here. I mean, obviously James Franklin has his known struggles against top 10 opponents. He's 4-20 all time against top 10. Dan
Is
Lanning,
Dan Lanning an elite big game coach?
he's struggled a little bit. I mean, he won that game against Ohio
Yep.
State at home last year,
Yep.
but he's lost, some big games, some championship games he's been favored in. Obviously, that Rose Bowl last year wasn't a good look either against the eventual national champions. But the matchup I'm more interested in is Jim Knowles matching up with Will Stein for the third time in like 365 days.
That's such a great
And
coordinator matchup, bro. That's two of the best, man. Two of the best.
Will Stein and Dylan Gabriel ate him up in Autzen last year. I mean, 360 some passing yards, right? Knowles made some adjustments, obviously, to jump out to a 34-0 lead, shut them out in the first half.
No, remember that
And
was
then,
Ryan. That was Ryan Day that did that for the defense.
of course, yeah, Jim Knowles, he wasn't calling the plays. And so, Jim Knowles obviously moves to Penn State, and he's going up against Will Stein's offense again with no Dylan Gabriel, with really Decory Moore, Gary Bryant Jr. I mean, those receivers, like we talked about, they lost a lot of receivers.
Malik Benson, who transferred from Alabama, then transferred to Florida State, now is at Oregon. He's been solid for them earlier this year too.
Yeah, it's hard for me
Do
to
you think that
see.
they're seriously? Do you think those three wide receivers, AJ Harris at Penn State and overall their secondary in general? Like I did honestly, I do this with every one of these big matchups. I go through wide receivers versus like the DBs, O line versus the D line. Like we all like to talk about like quarterback versus quarterback, but they're literally never on the field against each other.
Right.
Like who wins their matchup? Like who do I think has the advantage in their matchup? And dude, like you tell me, where do you think Oregon has the advantage in this matchup?
Quarterback.
Yes, I agree.
That's about. I mean, maybe I know Penn State spent a lot of money on their receivers, and maybe the receivers are equal, right? But
No,
yeah,
I
there's
mean, I'm sorry.
not.
I mean, like not Penn State's wide receivers versus Oregon's wide receivers. I mean,
Oh yeah. I gotcha.
Oregon's wide receivers versus Penn State's DBs, like who they're actually going against, and like Penn State's offensive line versus Oregon's defensive front. Like Penn State's running game. Let's go there. Penn State's running game versus
Yeah.
Oregon defensive front. Like I just, and I think Oregon is going to be a playoff team. I think if these two teams played later in the year, because Oregon's a very young team this year, very talented team. I think Oregon is going to be a significantly better football team like later in the year and come playoff time than they are this week.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to delay it anymore. Obviously, by the way I'm talking about this game, you can see which way I'm leaning. And I'm taking Penn State in this game to get it done. I'm not going to join the narrative of that James Franklin. I know he can't win big games, whatever like that. No, I think James Franklin gets a big win in this game against Oregon and the Ducks at home. And I'm making it a best bet. I've got Penn
Ooh.
State -3 at -115 as a best bet. I think that Penn State's offensive line and running game is going to be too much. I think that Penn State in general on the line of scrimmage on the offensive line and the defensive line are going to control this game. And I think they get it done and take care of business against the Ducks Saturday night.
I'm getting shades of us walking to Lucas Oil Stadium last year, and you convincing me to bet Penn State against the Ducks last year.
Well, when we were walking through that crowd, man, with all those Penn State fans, they're getting fired up doing the whatever that channel. What's the Seven
We
Nation
are.
Army? Yeah, and
Oh
then
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah,
that and the "We are Penn State." I
yeah.
looked at you and I said, "Penn State, money
Money
line,
line.
bro." And
I almost got there. Almost got
cost
there.
me and you both some money.
Um, yeah, I mean, I definitely am leaning Penn State in this
Oh,
game.
yeah.
If you made me bet it for sure, I would take Penn State -3.5. But it's really, really tough for me to make James Franklin and Drew Aller and those guys a best bet. So I'm not going to quite do it yet. But I mean, I don't blame you in the least. Like as we were talking here, I'm thinking to myself, like, man, why am I not betting this? So I do like Penn State in this game to get the win and probably the cover too. So I just think it's gonna be tough for Oregon. Like it's just tough environment.
Yep.
Michigan last year against a 5-loss team, afternoon kick doesn't really compare like this. I mean, it's gonna be a different deal on
Yeah.
Saturday night. So
Yep.
grab your two TVs, get to NBC, get to ABC, split screen there, YouTube, multi-view, all that stuff to watch both those fantastic matchups at night at the same time. Just loads of content this week, man. I think this is the first time we've done two separate preview episodes
Ever.
in 1 week since we've done this podcast. Some over 2 years ago. Was a blast. I cannot wait for this weekend. I cannot wait for Saturday. I'm going to really try to negotiate with my wife to be able to, park myself on the couch as much as I can and watch some games. So, hope you guys are we're ready for it too. Hope you guys are subscribed and followed. I'll YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all that. X, Instagram, TikTok. We're always on there. We're gonna be pumping out some prediction videos here for the next couple days. Yeah, man, I'm excited for football this weekend. So, for Lance Barton, I'm Tyler Noe. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next time.